So guys, there are very massive spoilers for Cabin in the Woods. So if you haven't seen this movie and you want to, go watch it and then come back. You have been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I'm Hemsworth Time HD, and this week what we found off the shelf was...
I seriously believe something weird is going on.
What is that thing?
Somebody sent those things here to get us.
No point. They want to see us punished.
I think I can get it to go down.
Do we want to go down?
Cabin in the Woods, released in 2011, directed by Drew Goddard, written by Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, starring Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Richard Jenkins, Bradley Whitford, and Sigourney Weaver's in there too. And there's a lot of, like, not a lot, but there's a couple named people in there. But those are the ones I can name off the top of my head. This film is a play on the horror genre. It's a comedy horror film. It really has fun with the horror genre. There's so many tropes in there. And overall, this film is kind of a love letter to horror fans. But you don't need to be a die-hard horror fan to, like, understand and like this film. The film is written well enough to the point where you can watch it and still know what's going on. Like, there's not overbearing references. Like, yes, references are there, and if you're a horror fan, it's great, you understand it. But if you're not, you still can go with the movie. And that's what I really like about it. And I'm just going to jump right in. This film is just really fun. A modern classic, I'd say. This film is really good. And as you guys know, I'm an avid horror fan. I love horror, one of my favorite genres. And overall, I just really like how just fun this movie has with the horror genre. I love how the I can pick apart all these tropes, but the film wants me to, right? The film is telling, like, kind of putting these tropes out there as a, like, plot point in the movie. Horror tropes are literally the driving plot of this movie. Like, you know, there's the 5 friends. There's, you know, there's the blonde bimbo that always dies first. There's the jock, the athlete. There's like the nerd, like, fool idiot guy. Then there's the final girl. There's the scholar or the smart dude who always dies. You know, it has, like, the formula of a horror movie, but it plays into it to create a plot about, like, you know, there's this, like, government operation, like, all over the world that is, like, you know, having locations where they kill people with they sacrifice these 5 people every year, so they can sacrifice them, like, to these, like, ancient, like, Lovecraftian gods so that they don't end the world, you know what I mean? And they do it, like, every year. And in this movie, they're all, like, all of them have failed so far, except... like, the one that we're seeing right now is still work in progress, and I'll get into it later. But one thing I just really like is I just love how much this film actually respects the horror genre, you know? Like, this film is not a parody, and I think with a worse writer, they could have just turned it into, like, a parody, but they didn't, right? It's got quippy dialogue and all that. It's funny, but it's not overbearing, you know what I mean? This film can still take itself somewhat seriously. Not super seriously, obviously. The film is not like a fucking thriller or anything. It's still pretty ridiculous, and it's, like, pretty goofy in most segments. But it's not borderline parody, like I said. It's still grounded enough. And I like that, you know what I mean? I like how it takes the horror genre seriously. I like how it doesn't make fun of the horror genre. It has fun with the horror genre. I know I said that before, but it's just something that I can really appreciate, you know? And while I do love some, like, horror parodies can be fun, but some of them, like, after you've seen enough, they kind of devolve into the same thing, right? Oh, the black guy dies first, or this and that. They do the same jokes, right? And it gets old, you know? And, you know, once you've seen 1 or 3 of them, you've seen all of them. And this film is truly unique. This film is truly unique in the fact that it's original, and it's crazy to think that Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon wrote the screenplay in 3 days, over a weekend. That's pretty crazy to think about because of how well written this movie is in regards of what it is. And I just really like that part, and I just really like those parts. And also the story itself, while still simple, I told you, like, they're trying to sacrifice people to you know, these ancient Lovecraftian gods so that they won't end the world. Well, we follow the people, like the government people underground and the main group, the, like, you know, sacrifice, the people that are going to be sacrificed. We follow them on the surface. And eventually, like, they all get killed, and then it looks like the final girl's going to die, but the fool who we thought died earlier didn't, comes back, saves her, and then they figure out, they get down the underground, they figure it out, and then they just cause chaos. They literally let all the monsters out, they kill everybody, and then it looks like they're down in where the, like, sacrificial chamber, I guess, and Sigourney Weaver comes out and says, oh, the fool needs to die. He needs to die because the world is gonna end. The world's gonna end, right? And he's saying, I mean, is that so bad? You know, maybe we do need a fresh start. You know what I mean? That's basically Marty's argument. And it looks like, well, he's the fool, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. And then the final girl, I think her name was it Dana? Was that her name? Yeah, Dana. So it looks like she's gonna shoot him, but then a werewolf attacks her, and then Sigourney Weaver and Marty get into a fight, and then the little zombie girl that tried to kill the group on the surface axes her in the face, and then they fall down into, like, the lava pit, and then eventually Dana and Marty just sit on the steps after the werewolf runs off, and they just kind of sit there, like, smoking a joint, waiting for the world to end, right? And that's the end of the movie. The world fucking ends. And I'm sorry if you guys haven't seen it. I mean, I know the film's, like, 13 years old. Like, I mean, technically 12 years old because this film was theatrically released. Yeah, so technically this film is, like, 13, 12 years old. I'm sorry if I just spoiled everything for you. But, I mean, if you wanted to see it, you probably should have already seen it. And plus, you still should watch it anyway. It's still really good. But yeah, this film is just really fucking good. And I just love the bits and pieces to it. I love how you have to watch this movie more than once. Because there's so much shit going on at the end of the film. Like, I watched a behind the scenes thing, and there's so much shit going on to the point where, like, that was going on. Like, it's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, and I really do feel like I'd have to rewatch this movie again to get all the details and get all the little Easter eggs, and I love that. I really love the attention to detail. They said it was torturous to get the end of the film filmed, like, the chaos going on. Like, it was really, like, took a long time. It was really, like, they had so many problems, but I think it turned out amazing, and I really love how much they care, how much passion, how much care they put into this film. Especially when they attached a horn onto a real horse and made him a unicorn. That is magic right there. And, like, overall, if you're a horror fan, and even if you're not, I would highly recommend this film. Like, obviously, if you're a horror fan, there's so many references, but they're subtle, right? They're not, like, in your face. Like, there's really subtle horror references. If you really pay attention, you can understand it. And it's just a love letter to horror, the genre, like, the horror genre as a whole. So I think you could get a ton of enjoyment out of this. But even if you're not, the film is just well written, it's funny, it's just really enjoyable. So even if you're not, you could still get a ton of enjoyment out of this film and not miss a beat. And with that, I'd highly recommend it. And final rating, I think I'd give, like, an 8.5. Really, really good, really, really fun. And overall, would highly recommend it. And, yeah. I think I'm something to say. I think I'm something peace. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share with friends. Subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment below if you liked it. And I'm in Time HD. I'll spend a weekend at a cabin in the woods. It's probably the longest one I've ever done. But it sounded right. It wasn't. The right amount of syllables. The right amount of syllables. You guys get it. The syllables, the most important part.